and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's the time. Mousecast Podcast is diving in.
Hello and welcome to Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. We have come to round 4, the final 4, or the final one of 4 of March Mouseness. I tell you what, we've been having a great time over about the last month, counting down in our own version of March Madness and now into April Madness here. And this is our final one, but we've got a little bit of work to do to wrap up last week's show, but we'll get to that in a minute. Joining me again, of course, is the great Matt Simmons, and Megan Weichman is with us as well. Hello, all. Matt, hey, Megan, Chuck. How you doing?
Doing good, Chuck. Excited for the last week here, the last bracket that we gotta break down.
This is it, and then we return you to our regularly scheduled Mousecast, not already in progress. So yeah, we've had a lot of fun. So we thought before we get into this week's top 16, where we're talking about the top 16 souvenirs, kind of an interesting little bit here. We thought we'd first kind of review where we were. So all the way back, our first round was episode 116. So if you want to go back and listen to our top 16 snacks, and of course our winner was the cheeseburger spring roll, found in the Magic Kingdom, and the very, very popular snack that it is. Then we went over to the top 16 sidekicks in the Magic Kingdom. And as my catches up here, hold on a second, and there we go. There we go. So that was episode 117, where we looked at the top 16 sidekick characters, and of course, Genie. All tributes to Robin Williams. Genie was your winner. We took a break for episode 118 for a little bit of game night, and we had a great time with that. And also, and let's see here, set this up like that. There we go. Hey, Hawk, how are you? Welcome. Hope you've had a good week. So we took a break for a little halftime for game night, and then we came to last week, episode 119, and the songs. And as you can see, we don't have a winner there. So if you were joining us last week, we had a tie, and it was a little bit of a challenge. In fact, Tom says we need to redraw the district maps when it comes to the song. So folks who are not in Virginia don't get that inside joke. Virginia's having a little bit of interestingness, shall we say, when it comes to congressional maps. That's a little bit of an inside joke there. But we have some work to do. So if you remember last week, we came to the end of the show and we had a dead tie. It was tied among the four of us. It was tied among the viewers watching online. So we put it out to a poll and said, which is the song? Is it When You Wish Upon a Star or the Star Wars main theme? You spoke. And you spoke very, very loudly, and by 84% to 16%, When You Wish Upon a Star is your number one song. It wasn't even close.
I'm throwing a
so When You Wish Upon a Star
I'm throwing a
challenge. Hawks go throwing a challenge.
Because you worded the question, which is the top Disney song soundtrack? And in all reality,
but they're both Disney.
Any purist is going to tell you Star Wars isn't pure Disney; it was bought. So
that was my argument last week.
It's interpretation. It's always up to interpretation.
But
nevertheless, When You Wish Upon a Star.
I'm throwing the flag. I want to recount. I want the map.
We're getting the lawyers involved early this week, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, the lawyers are already getting started. Hawk's already wanting the hanging chads and everything else like that. That's right. So, congratulations to When You Wish Upon a Star. You are the top song, which brings us to tonight. And it is the top 16 souvenirs, those great things that you take home that cost you sometimes an arm and a leg and maybe not so much. Hey, Mark Sonnenberg. Mark is joining us tonight. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. So tonight we are going to go through the top 16 souvenirs in the parks at Walt Disney World. And I tried when I built this list to try and come up with kind of somewhat generic-y names. So you're not going to see some overall specific things. A few of them you will. Mark says, "Woohoo! Souvenirs! Yes, we are talking about souvenirs. It's time to spend some money."
That was a good
all right. So we're gonna
generic-y.
What's that, Mark?
What's that? It's a great word you made up, Chuck. Generic-y. I'm going to use that.
Generic-y. See, I like that. Generic-y. That's right.
Goes along with those Chuckisms.
So speaking of our generic-y, yeah, it's another Chuckism. Speaking of our generic-y souvenirs, our first two, as we start off our final round of March Mouseness, is the standard plush character. Pick whatever character you like, a plush, good old squeezable plush character, versus Hawk had one just a few minutes ago, and Hawk has quite a collection of mugs or tumblers. So, all right, guys, and of course, if you are watching, we want to hear your thoughts as well as which you think would be the souvenir. I think Hawk has already made his decision. Hawk is a big mug guy. He loves mugs. So, Hawk, tell me about mugs, man.
They win.
Thanks for playing, Hawk. Short, sweet, and to the point. They win. There we go.
Okay. Well,
all right, Hawk. Why mugs?
Honestly,
Hawk, why mugs?
Jen and I use them as memory bases, right? Like we get them when we have special occasions or anything else. And when we pick a mug for the day, it usually has to do with something we're thinking about. And that will be one of those memories that we pull out. If it's a birthday or an anniversary or a day we got that mug in the past, we'll use that mug that day. And we remember those things. And it's a nice way to kind of, adapt to set the tone for the day with your mug choice. Gives us a little something to do. So I like it. We have way too many. Our kids make fun of us, but I would rather have more functional mugs than more plushes all over the dang house, all over the place. So mugs the winner for me.
All right. So Hawk's a mug guy. So Megan, go ahead.
I'm following Hawk on this one. And for me, it is the usefulness. I love a souvenir that I actually use when I'm home. A lot of other souvenirs, they come home and they sit on a shelf until I go back to Disney and then I pull them back out, or they just don't have a regular use for them. And plushes, I'm sorry, I'm a parent of a young child. I'm over any kind of thing that you can call a stuffy. Forget it. They collect dust, they take up space, they're all over my kids' bedrooms. Mugs, not so much. And tumblers are great too. I've followed the water trend on all the things, so I have had my fair share of tumblers as well. Just, it's a useful souvenir, and I love it.
Well, Chris Mushrush, fellow MEI Mouse Fan Travel agent here. Chris, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Mousecast. Chris is new to Mousecast here. He says, consensus at the Casa de la Mush. Mug, tumbler for the win. And he says too many here too. I think this is going to be a common thing. Tom, by the way, also says, Hawk, did you get mugged? Bump. So
not on
Matt, not on this show yet. So Matt,
this it's easy, but it's tough. So I'm definitely going with the mug and tumbler. I don't have that many. I think I've got like 2 or 3. Just because don't drink a lot of hot liquids. Northeast, it's iced coffee no matter what season it is. But for plushes, I mean, I have a 6 and a 3-year-old that love the plushes when we go. So to me, it's kind of like they're creating their own like memory on that trip. Like, hey, we got this. I got this Pluto stuffy, or plush, I should say, on this trip. And my daughter's actually taking a little trip with my wife, and she's bringing both her Pluto plush animals. So me personally, I go mug and tumbler, but also like the plush characters kind of like the way we look at.
You got to pick one,
the
buddy.
mugs. That's kind of like their like big souvenir. They're always excited to get a new one when we go down. So, but like I said, I'm going with mugs.
Going with mugs. Well, this puts me in an awkward position because while personally, I will go with mugs, and it doesn't matter. Mugs are going to win anyway. But given the fact that I have a daughter and a wife who have about 500 million thousand gazillion plushes and continue to get more plushes, I'm contractually obligated to say plush character. But again, I'm glad you guys bailed me out because Mug and Tumbler, you are advancing on to the next round. But if you thought that was hard, just wait. Here we go. Popcorn bucket versus toys. And toys can take a lot of different forms. They can be your figurine sets. They can be monorail, trains and things like that. So toys is kind of a very catch-all area. And I know it's, again, to use Hawk's word that he liked me to say so much, it's very generic-y. But with that, though, we'll start with popcorn bucket. And I'll actually start this one off. While the toys are fun, when it comes to park, though, you can only get the popcorn bucket in the parks. And some of those get very, very detailed. Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney, I'm specifically talking about you. Some of those can be really, really out there and amazing. And folks they go nuts for popcorn buckets. So with that, I am going to say the popcorn bucket. So, Matt, what do you think?
For this one, as nice as they are, to me, these two are very similar because if you collect popcorn buckets, what do you do with them afterwards? They just kind of sit and collect those, kind of like toys. At least toys, I feel like eventually you can kind of donate. So in this house, in our house, toys is a clear winner. I can't tell you how many toys, especially like Toy Story stuff right now, that's in our house, and my son just loves to play with it, and he lights up. So I'm personally going with toys.
Mark Sonnerberg says popcorn bucket more than theme park oriented, but bulky. But he says, yeah, buckets. Megan?
I have a few popcorn buckets. I hate the word toys, and the thought of bringing more into my house at this point also makes me cringe. However, I'm going to agree with Matt here and go with toys because, and my kids have picked some good ones and they picked some bad ones. I have picked some good ones and some bad ones, certainly in my time. But if they pick decent ones, they get used after we get home, and then I can either resell them on Facebook Marketplace or I can gift them to a friend who may have younger kids. Like, there is potentially more use. Popcorn buckets, as cool as some of them are, and the ones over in Tokyo, they're phenomenal. But I tend to
They
think
really
popcorn
are cool,
buckets,
guys. Yeah.
I tend to think they're some of the most overrated souvenirs out there. I'm not waiting in a 4-hour line to get a Figment bucket. And they're bulky, they're awkward. I love the ones that I have, but they're sitting on a shelf collecting dust, like Matt said. They don't go anywhere. I'm not dragging them back to Disney so I can get cheap popcorn in them. So I'm going with the toys here.
Tom says, thinking of the target market and not an old guy like me, and I think he's also, I'm kind of in that gang too. Tom says you need to go toys. And so with that, speaking of another old guy, Hawk.
Yeah, for me, it's actually a dual meaning chuck it bucket. Like, I don't like popcorn, but Chuck chose the bucket. So we'll call it the chuck it bucket. I am not a popcorn fan. I think the buckets are amazing to see, but to Megan's point with the mug thing and the functionality, I think, these popcorn buckets, some people display them in very unique ways. I've seen some great collections, but they're dust collectors. They're just going to sit there. Toys, even if it's only while they're on the trip or there, the kids are using them, enjoying them. I understand on the trip you might use your popcorn bucket, but I honestly see more people buy them to collect and walk out of the park with 8 to 10 of them slung over shoulders, and it's it's kind of a cringeworthy thing to watch, to be honest. People standing in line and trying to buy them and then resell them, and for a food that I just find personally absolutely disgusting. So I'm toys.
All right. So this is definitely a Toy Story kind of thing. And so these were, and by the way, this was out of the group that I just called classics. So our next group are kind of what I call personal taste. So these are things that oftentimes get personalized or can be customized in some way, shape, or form. And so the first we're going to do, speaking of Star Wars, because you have to put Star Wars in all of this stuff somehow, some way, is a lightsaber. And I'm specifically thinking, I mean, it could be just the standard lightsaber, but more ideally the custom-built lightsabers versus Disney artwork. And that's customizable in the fact that you can have some of the create your owns, that you have the artists actually kind of create personalized sketches. Also, so Tom says, so I officially kicked the bucket. Yes, looks like we officially kicked the bucket. Leave it to Tom. He's gonna come up with a good pun for us. So, lightsaber versus some sort of Disney artwork. So, Megan, we'll let you start out.
I'm going artwork on this one. The lightsabers are really cool, but I think my connection to the artwork is kind of the same argument that Hawk made for the mugs. I think people buy Disney artwork, whether it's figurines or actual art that hangs on the wall, that kind of thing, when they're commemorating something or a specific trip. I know that's what we have done. We have friends who have done the same thing. And so there's usually an emotional tie to whatever piece of artwork that you buy to put in your house. So that's what I'm going for here.
Mark Jedi,
alrighty, so
what you are.
Yeah, Mark Sonnenberg said, my taste in lightsabers would really be expensive, and I did want to do that, so I bought a printed saber hilt, put it on my belt, and it happened to be in the car, and it crunched it and smashed it in the door. Oof, ouch.
Jedi,
so
what you are.
Yeah, Mark will learn. So Matt, what do you think, lightsaber or artwork?
Yeah, the as great as the lightsabers are, it's artwork for me. I love, there's a store in downtown Disney I love going into and just looking at all the artwork and stuff like that, and just wishing I could afford some of it. But it just, the memories and the rewatching films, just the feeling you get when you look at those pictures, for me anyway, I just love the artwork, and I wish I could, like I said, buy more of it and bring it home.
Alrighty, another for artwork. Hawk?
So, my passion for Star Wars and my anger and frustration that they were not, the main theme was just not voted for because of a slightly misrepresented question. But I'm taking artwork.
There's always a critic.
I'm taking artwork. I don't have a lightsaber.
Tom says,
unless you can really cut off an alien's arm.
Yeah, Tom says, unless they can really cut off an alien's arm, artwork wins, especially if it's the Haunted Mansion or attraction posters.
I don't want it to cut off anybody's arm, to be honest. Virtually I'm cutting off my own right now. Look, it's
there you go.
Lost the lightsaber battle. But the reality is that artwork, I think it's something Jen and I have invested a little money in. This past year, I had one piece before, to the point that Megan brings up. It's got the functionality of being available and visible on your wall. It's a showpiece. I do like it, and it's easier to dust than a dang popcorn bucket. So, I'm just saying, it's easier to clean and maintain. They're beautiful pieces, and it holds value. So, a lot of that artwork will hold value long term. So I think that's important. Megan disappeared. I'm very concerned.
I'm sure she'll be back. So, she just dropped off. We'll see if she comes right back. She may have hidden for a minute. I'm going to actually make it a clean sweep on this. I'm going for artwork. In fact, to your point, Hawk, as I can take the camera and move it up here, these are all Larry Dodson pieces that I have collected over the years, and all of them actually are signed by Larry Dodson.
And Larry,
and that's a great another. Yeah, I mean, Larry is an awesome guy. If you've ever met Larry, I mean, he really is a cool guy. And I hope that, we hope he's doing well. He's had some health issues in the past. But I'm with you guys. I love Disney artwork. I have all kinds that are here. Big figs, little figs, mini figs, all that kind of stuff. So I am a big Disney artwork collector. And so Disney artwork, you are moving on. So next up, we have ornaments. And again, this can be either an actual customizable ornament or just a general ornament that goes to your tree or trees, multiple, or jewelry. And jewelry can take all kinds of forms, from Pandora charms to watches to earrings and necklaces and all these other things. So Matt will let you start off with ornament or jewelry.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. Ornament moves on for me. I enjoy looking at all the different ornaments between the Disney store and Downtown Disney. And I believe there's a little shop in Magic Kingdom as well. Just to see the variety and what they come up with and the different designs, even year by year. My mom personally likes the ones over in the Germany Pavilion as well. In jewelry, I no real interest in it. I don't stop and look at it at all. So for me, ornament moves on fairly easy.
Alrighty. Megan, what do you think?
I have 6 pieces of Disney jewelry on at the moment.
So
However,
you're definitely going ornament then. You're definitely going ornament then.
I love the ornament. We get one every single time we get a
We're sitting here giving a hard time.
I usually try to get one for the resort that we're staying at if one is available. They haven't been as readily available since COVID at every resort across the board. But we try to get something that's got a year on it. We usually try to get one for the kids also, so that they have stuff to take with them when they eventually leave us in 15 years.
Trust me, you're going to be you're about 5 years from being please.
They never leave.
Well, you gotta have backup.
They never leave.
My parents bought me ornaments, and then there was one very sad Christmas where my dad dropped my box of ornaments, and all of mine were gone. So, you gotta have the ornaments. I love the ornaments. Definitely going that way. Although I do love my Disney jewelry.
Wow, you really did go with ornament.
I love Disney
We were
ornaments.
giving a hard time though, but Hawk, she wasn't kidding. She actually was doing ornaments. How about you, Hawk?
So I have zero Disney jewelry on, but I am going with ornament. Jen and I find it very special for holidays. We always get our annual Christmas ornament that we put on the tree. Tegan and I had done it when we started going to Disney. We get at least one ornament from Disney every year, and it's just been a tradition in the family. And I think from that aspect, it's just a no-brainer for me. I'm going with ornament.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a clean sweep. It's definitely ornament. Much as we do, and both my wife and daughter love Disney jewelry, Disney Pandoras, and all of that, and they're very, very popular. And you can find some great.
To decorate.
That's where I was just going. Tom says, "Do trading pins count as jewelry?"
I bet they're on this
Funny
list.
you ask that, Tom. They're on this list.
Yeah.
You wait.
Yeah.
You think I'm gonna let you? I'm not gonna put trading pins on this list? Are you kidding? So we do 20 trees a year, and of those trees, about somewhere around half of them have some sort of Disney component. And so, without a doubt, ornament. There's
20?
one downstairs that says
What do you got? A
Nikki's Christmas Tree Farm. There's actually, they're all down there. So, yeah. Alrighty. Coming up next, so we're moving now to attire, things that you can wear. So, I picked Spirit jersey. I didn't want to do something just simple like saying, oh, a shirt, because that I think was a little too generic-y. But the Spirit jerseys have been very, very popular lately, and there's a lot of Spirit jerseys that have been put out there. And if you're not familiar with the Spirit jersey, it's kind of like a sweatshirt that's kind of very embellished. It's got, writing all around the arms and everything like that. Versus the good old-fashioned, quintessential, classic mouse ears. So with that, I'll start this one off. And it has to be mouse ears. I mean, this is, your first trip to Disney. It's almost a requirement. You have to get mouse ears and do the mouse ears picture and all that. And there are, to these days, mouse ears have really become collector items. They've become, designer. You now have designers creating mouse ears, like Gucci mouse ears and things like that. Some of these mouse ears run in the hundreds. Yes, I said that right. Hundreds of dollars for mouse ears. And folks are buying them. And, they're buying them fast. They sell out very quickly. So, with that, there's hundreds of different types of mouse ears. So it's kind of it may be the quintessential. I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes number one. We'll find out. But it's mouse ears. So let's see here. We'll just go down in order. Hawk.
All right. So Spirit jerseys of the last couple of years, just going to give my honest opinion. Disney, you are lacking in your creative marketing because the Spirit jerseys have been brutal. I have seen maybe 2 of the last 3 years, maybe 2 Spirit jerseys that I thought weren't just over the top and absolutely ridiculous. For someone who likes subtle clothing in a sense, like I don't mind advertising a product or a place, but I do like it a little more subtle than like blinging it out and throwing it in your face. Walt Disney World doesn't need to be in 64-inch letters across my back. It's just certain, to me personally, I think it's a little much. They do make some that are very classy, and I've seen some very well done ones, but they're the rarity the last couple of years, which I find really disappointing. They've gotten away from the Spirit jersey that kind of started it all, that was very plain and basic. And, they've gone too far the other way, in my opinion. That's just but mouse ears, we were talking about functionality when you leave the park. When are you going to wear them? Like,
to wear them to teach in.
Oh, geez. Megan, very few people wear them outside of the parks. If you're at Disney, Chuck, to your point, your first visit, you got to get the mouse ears. You got to. Like, it's a tradition, okay? I understand that. But the people that do collect them and go crazy with them, they're the diehards like us that are in the park all the time, and for that purpose, I am going to go with mouse ears because I really hate the freaking Spirit jerseys right now. But I'll go with the ears, but I don't think they hold as much intrinsic value, and I don't think they're going to wind up being number one. Chuck. I don't think
they might not, but
I don't think they're going to make that one out. But that's just my call now. But for the moment, I will advance the mouse ears.
Alrighty, Megan.
I'm also going with the mouse ears. I will say, and eventually, I've only had frames and shadow boxes for like 2 years now that I still haven't put up. Those of us who do collect them, a lot of times we turn them into artwork. And that's what I'm planning to do with the ones that I have stored away right now. I love my mouse ears. I think Spirit jerseys, my gripe with the Spirit jerseys tends to be the fabric. They're not very soft. They're very stiff and they're heavy. You want me to wear that in Orlando? What are you, crazy? Mm-hmm. Like, give me a light t-shirt kind of material. There have been a couple that I've stumbled across that have like a thinner or more, like a very thin sweatshirt kind of material. Those are great. But those are like 1 out of every 75,000 that they come out with. And No, they're not comfortable. I can't move in those things. So I can't pick the spirit jerseys because I just won't wear them. I don't think they're comfortable. Mouse ears for sure.
All right, Matt.
I was going to say mouse ears to me are very uncomfortable. So after a while, I mean, I was going to ask Chuck, are we talking mouse ears as far as just the bands, or do the hats count as well?
The hats count too. Yeah, it's the beanie or the bands. So
Yeah, for me, I, I have really no opinion on either one of them. So I'm just going to go with mouse ears just for the.
Just for the sweet.
Yeah, exactly. Just because it's basically that's where everybody's pretty much going. I'm just going to push it along a little bit further. I have no dog in the fight on this one.
All right, there we go. So we'll move.
For the mouse ears, because and granted, mouse ears in general are geared more towards women than they are men. The beanies for the men on some of them. I really wish they did more baseball caps for you guys with the ears. It might be great.
Chuck, you got 3
I would agree with that
podcast, and you put up princess dresses. Is anyone making some surprise announcement here right now? Is there some
dude? I mean,
coming? Come on, Chuck.
It's the reality.
Chuck, be honest. Like you gonna let out a secret right now?
No, but
okay.
I'm just telling you. I mean, Mousecast represents more than just the 4 of us. So, with that, see, there you go. You gotta think of the audience there, Hawk. So with that though, so we do have the Magic Band, which at one time was you could get complimentary, a basic one, just a basic colored one, not anymore. And the Magic Bands have really kind of become much more of an interactive device with the Magic Band Pluses that are, they have haptics in them, color changing, all this kind of fun stuff. And yes, Hawk, the princess dress. I mean, I think you've been to the parks once or twice. There are a few girls running around, little girls and sometimes older girls, walking around with princess dresses on. And so it's the one other piece of attire besides like a spirit jersey or something that, it's a princess dress. I mean, that's a very popular thing. And so, with that, Hawk will let you actually start first since I think you're just a big fan of the princess dress.
This show is going straight to Belle. I love the color of her dress. It's just amazing. Belle just takes the cake, in my opinion. The kids, listen, when we go to the park, seeing the kids running around in a princess dress, it's adorable when they're under the age of 10. Okay? I'm going to be honest. I've seen some of the older crowd try to do the princess thing, and I don't have the same reaction. Some of the bounds I've seen, very good. I'll give people a lot of credit that bound in the parks and do the princess thing. But like wearing the princess dresses, I think that's really something for the kids. Magic bands are for everyone. Everyone in the park has a magic band for the most part. If you're talking a low-cost souvenir, magic bands are still going to be cheaper than the princess dresses. Mark, when I wore my Belle dress, they actually asked me to go change. I was actually provided. I was one of those pre-TikTok people that actually did get a free T-shirt in order for me to have the Belle dress removed. But it happens to the best of us. I knew
Mousecast is gonna pay very highly for photo proof of that.
I'm just saying. I knew right out of the gate Tiana's outfit was a non-option. I'm just saying, no midriff available. There was way too much midriff. So, but I'm going with Magic Band here. And yes, the show's going straight to Belle, but Magic Band.
Yeah, we're off the rails here. All right, Megan, get us back on track here.
I just want to point out that sometimes this show makes me question my life choices. But I'm also...
I think you're not the only one.
I'm going with the Magic Bands. I am annoyed with Disney a lot when it comes to Magic Bands and the things that they have changed in the last few years. The fact that there is no basic band that you can be included and then you get an optional upgrade. The fact that they took away the discount that you got if you ordered it ahead of time. Just all these things that they've done away with as they've continued to increase the prices. We talk about ticket prices a lot, but Magic Bands for something that you don't, I mean, it's not a requirement, right? But the Magic Band makes everything so much easier. It's easier to use than now. I don't have an Apple Watch, so I haven't done that. I know a lot of people choose to use their Apple Watches, but the bands are just.
And I do have an Apple, and I'll tell you, it's cumbersome to use them.
Yeah.
Megan, it's cumbersome to use the Apple Watch instead of using the Magic Band. You just have to constantly switch it and change it and everything like that. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's okay, but it is a little cumbersome. Matt?
The other thing that I love, real quick.
Oh, sorry,
I
Megan, go ahead.
Magic Band just for the collectability of it, right? Because your kids get to pick out their favorite characters. I have a few because they've got special editions and all that stuff. But the availability of the Magic Bands online to get so that you don't have to worry about buying it and setting up when you're there, that's dropped off quite a bit. And a lot of times you're better off. You get better choices, but you have to wait until you're there. And then that's like one more thing you got to do day one when you get there. That kind of. So I'm going with the Magic Bands. Disney princess dresses. You can buy some really good knockoffs or even the real ones on Facebook Marketplace for a lot cheaper than you can get them in the park. And then, because I mean, my daughter runs around in hers. There are holes all over the hem of our bell dress because she steps on it because she's playing and climbing all the time. I don't want to pay $75, $85, $90, whatever those dresses cost. I'm not buying them in the parks. Forget it. So I'm going with the band.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, Magic Band. Just the personalization you can do with those Magic Bands is fantastic. Kind of make it your own. And if you want to buy different ones to match your outfit, you can even go that route. You can even match your princess dress if you want. So, but the princess dresses, to me, it's a one and done kind of item, especially if you go to like Bibby Bobby Boutique or something like that. They'll wear it the one day, then you're going to store it and like for your own personal memory, but eventually it just sits in a closet, collects dust, or ends up in an attic or something like that. And it's just money just not really well spent. And I feel like Magic Bands, you can just you can keep on reusing multiple trips, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken. So the reusability of Magic Bands versus the princess dress, it's no question. It's the Magic Band.
Yeah, and I would have to agree. I mean, I put princess dress on here because they are very, very popular. You see a lot of little girls running around in princess dresses, and I love how the cast members treat the little girls. It's as if they are that particular character. Oh, Princess Mulan is right here, or Princess Jasmine or Snow White or whatever. I love how the cast members interact. But for usefulness and everything, behave yourselves. But for usefulness, in general, I mean, when I talk to travel clients, I know that you don't have to have a Magic Band, but I recommend one because, Megan, you're right. It just makes things so much easier. And it's also, in a somewhat selfish moment here, when you go and you're at the turnstiles and you see somebody and they're trying to do the cell phone, and the cell phone, it doesn't pick up the RFID right or whatever like that, where it's a Magic Band, tap, finger, done. Just worth it. It saves you time and everything like that. So to me, a Magic Band is a definite must be, and I think it's a great souvenir, great piece of technology that they have created. And so Magic Band, you move on to the next line. All right. So now we're coming up to the group called low cost / no cost. And so the first are actually park maps. Actually people will collect and get park maps because of course they change frequently. And then the quintessential pressed penny. I have quite a collection of penny presses. I've actually written articles and blogs and been on podcasts talking about pressed pennies and things like that. So I'll actually start this one off, and I'm actually going to do the pressed penny with a bit of reluctance. And the reason I'll do with reluctance is if you think that, things like the ear hats and all that have gone up in price, the penny presses have gone up tremendously in price. The only thing that's penny now is just the penny that you're smashing. Penny presses have really gotten expensive. There are hundreds of designs all across. It is still fairly cheap. I mean, you can get a pressed penny. I want to say maybe now is it $1 now? Something like that. It used to be 50 cents. I think now it's $1. And sometimes you have to get them in a series, so it's like $5 and you get 3 of them or something like that. Still fairly inexpensive though, and a good souvenir. Always my tip I give about pressed pennies: use a penny that's dated 1982 or older, because it's got a lot more copper in it than zinc, and so you don't get those silver streaks in them. Little tip. But I'm going to go with the pressed penny. I think that it's something just quaint about kind of old school Disney versus the park maps, which do change a lot, and they're fun to have around to remember. But for me, it is the pressed penny. So let's see here, Megan, go ahead.
I'm going to take the park maps on this one. Once upon a time, and I've moved, and moving, anybody who's moved a lot knows things go by the wayside. At one point, I had an original summer of 1972 Magic Kingdom map, and I do not know what's happened to it. But I had one a long time ago because my mom worked there that summer. I'm taking the park maps. I think, first of all, I've seen people turn them into artwork after they come home. They cut them up, they do decoupage with them, turn them into boxes and all sorts of things. But I do love seeing the changes over times in the park. If you do hang on to them, the differences, even compare, especially for people who go every few years. So there's a gap there. Something's changed, and you can see how your favorite park has evolved over time. You see different things, the different covers for the different things that were popular, things that were the fads of the different times. When a park changes names, like MGM becoming Hollywood Studios, those things, there are park maps that say MGM Studios, and that doesn't exist anymore. I love seeing that change over time, and I love grabbing the maps every time we go. My kids love looking at them. It's just fascinating to them, because where else do we get maps? Nobody's looking at any maps anymore. So Disney maps are like gold to kids because they've never seen anything like it before. Definitely going to take the park maps on this. I'll take anything that's free. Free works.
Alrighty, Matt.
I guess I go with the pressed penny on this one. To me, they're both just a waste of money, personally. The park maps, they come home with us and they just end up all over the house, and nothing's done with them except that it's just additional clutter. Pressed pennies, I know my daughter liked them one of the first trips we went, but where they ended up, I couldn't tell you. So, but just for collectability reasons, I think the pressed penny, the variety that's out there between the resorts, the parks, stuff like that, I'm going to go with the penny.
Alrighty, Hawk, close us out. Are we a tie, is this...
So for the first thing I want to say is the Mousecast word of the week is decoupage. And I was very impressed.
Decoupage, there we go.
That Megan threw that out there. I'm just saying, nice job, Megan. We are an educated bunch up in here. Woo! So, for the same reasons Matt presented, I'm actually going with the park maps. I think the collectability is actually higher for the park maps, and they don't cost me anything. There was a comment someone made regarding, like the maps from Horror Nights. We love saving the maps from the HHN every year because of the different houses, the different themes, the different things going on, the different food options. It's nice to be able to look back and kind of see those differences. And to Megan's point, the transitions over the years with the maps, from the parks at Disney are fascinating to go back and look at how things were laid out. If you save those maps, those are really cool. And there's people that pay big money to get some of those original Magic Kingdom maps, or, like for the years that parks open, for Disneyland Paris, for Tokyo, you get a park map of that opening season. Those can go for some pretty good dollars. So it's pretty fascinating to me that it's such a great souvenir with, our favorite 4-letter F word. It's free. We love that. So, I'm going park maps on this one. I love a free souvenir.
All right.
What we pay for everything else.
All right, so we have a tie, and so let's go to the comments. So Mark Sonnenberg says, Love the maps for the memories of what the rides were, even though they never make it home nice. I think they went with built-in the copper slugs now that pennies are going away. So yeah, they're again, that's another piece. Pennies are going away, so pressed pennies will become even more collectible, frankly. But Mark Scharneberg says park maps. Tom also says, I'm a penny pincher, so no pressed penny. Like to get a clean copy of the map on the way out of the park. It's fun to break them out years later, especially maps from Halloween Horror Nights. So it looks like, based upon our comments here so far, it is going to be park maps. You will move on.
Just came in
Wait a minute.
totally in the penny
Mush.
corner. Looks like a new poll.
Mush, though. Mush is backing me up. He said I was solidly in the penny corner after hearing you talk, though. I'm going with maps. Oh, Mush, you're killing me, man. Got to start getting them again.
That's Mush, you the man.
Oh, Mush Rush. Come on, what are you doing, buddy? I thought we were friends.
You gotta just.
I thought we were friends. All right. So park maps, you're moving on. Okay, so our final pair, here we go, is trading pin versus, and I just called this printable handouts. This is really the most kind of generic-ish of all of them. So I'm talking about like the Kid Cot at Epcot, the Wilderness Explorer, transportation cards, all that kind of stuff that's just giveaways that they have. I mean, there's a bazillion. I could almost do 16 of those alone. So kind of, to kind of speed things up here a little bit.
Chris, don't apologize.
No, Chris, don't apologize. Chris, you're new to the show. They give me crap all the time, so don't worry about it. They give me guff all the time.
We do.
So, alrighty, all the time. So, okay, Matt, we'll start with you. Trading pin or the hodgepodge, decoupage of printable handouts? I think we have our answer as he holds up his pins.
And this is just my Genie ones, let alone the other ones I collected. So, yeah, trading pins, no brainer for me.
All right, there we go. And I'm going to concur. Trading pins, I have tons of them mounted all around, so definitely pins. Megan?
I'm going to avoid the inevitable texts and phone calls that I would get from my mother if I didn't pick pins. There's a pin for everybody. That's what I love about pins. I'm going with pins also.
Absolutely. And Hawk?
I'm taking printable handouts because, once again, I'm a cheapie. I ain't paying that money for pins. Those things are crazy money.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And the backs break off.
Well, and I did say low cost because you can get the ones from the cast members and kind of do that, and they are kind of... Oh, Tom says, how deep pressing for my pennies.
So I do think one thing that's underrated that I want to touch on in this, though, is a lot of people are unaware of a lot of these printable handouts. If you ask a monorail driver or monorail crew member, they have monorail cards that transportation cards they can give you. The boat captains will often have them. You can get them from the Skyliner staff. You can get little collectible cards. One of my favorites that we were able to collect a full set of was the old Magic Kingdom game, the Sorcerer's game.
Sorcerer's the Magic Kingdom. Yep.
So we were able to get a full set of those cards, and save those. And that was a great free thing. We've had people offer us money for the full set we have. The old Fast Pass tickets. There are so many things that Disney prints that are just, we have a scrapbook filled with stuff. Animal Kingdom has the safety cards that they give out. And you can we have a full set of safety cards we've acquired. There are so many little freebies at Magic Kingdom, and those people that, don't think about telling their kids or don't do enough research to find out that their kids can obtain things for free that are on a tight budget. Your kids can have a blast. And to your point, Chuck, there are cast members that will give kids pins. There's, they'll get you started in a pin collection. They'll help you out if you express some interest in something. We've had Skyliner cast members give us, you can't buy them, but little Skyliner pins that we have a couple of that we've gotten. You know, there are so many things that Disney does do that have no cost, and I think that often gets overlooked. So
It
even though
does.
I'm in minority, even though I'm in the minority, the free stuff would have been my choice.
Well, and I think that actually we may touch back on that. So folks, stay tuned to Mousecast. That may actually be a topic for a future show very soon. Is all of the free or really really low cost items that are around. But in the meantime, we've got to wrap up round 4 here. So in our second round, we have mug tumbler versus toys. Hawk, I don't even know if I need to ask you this one. I think you're probably going mug. Yep. Megan?
Mug, absolutely.
All right. Matt?
It's the
He's
mug.
mugging. He's mugging.
It's the mug, and he's mugging, and I will concur with mug as well. That I think when you get to this point, a mug.
Today you're wearing your mugshot stripes there. What's going on?
I am wearing my mug shots today. So
Something else he wants to tell
let's
us.
see here. That's right. So here we go. Mug tumbler grabbed you.
What was Bale saying?
Yeah, this show is kind of going. Okay, a pair of customizables, so artwork versus ornament, which, in some respects are both artwork as it is, but I'll start with this one, and I'm going to take artwork. I have a lot of Disney artwork. I love Disney artwork, both printed, framed on the wall, as far as sculpture. Here's the street sign from Disneyland, or from the animation studios from Burbank. So I have a lot of Disney art, so I'm taking artwork. Matt?
This one's actually kind of tough. I'm going to go artwork, even though ornaments hold a more special place for what we do. We like to try to, actually something we like to do is get, if the kids dress up for Halloween as Disney characters, we'd like to try to find an ornament and put it on our tree for that year, or whatever they dress up as Halloween. So, but the artwork is just, it's hard to beat. So I'm going to go with artwork on this one.
So Mark Sonnenberg said art. Chris Mushrush says he's going to redeem himself, try and get my back in my good graces. And so he says artwork as well. Megan, what do you think?
I'm not interested in being in your good graces, Chuck. I'm going with ornament. But I will say, when we're talking about free or low cost, my absolute favorite souvenir from Disney is actually artwork, but it's artwork that you create. Go to the Animation Academy. It has been at Animal Kingdom. It is thankfully moving back to Hollywood Studios. It's free,
Yes, it
and
is.
you get to create it yourself, and it's something that you did. I do not care for the fact that the Imagineers are not going to, the artists are not actually going to be in the room with you anymore, which is a bummer. But despite my favorite souvenir being a piece of artwork, I'm going to go with ornaments. We buy them every trip. It's our memento from every trip. So I'm going ornament on this one.
All right, Hawk.
For the spirit of moving this along without more conflict, I am going to go with artwork.
Well, even if you went ornament, all of our Tom also says bah humbug to ornaments, artwork wins. So our viewers at home who are watching live right now agree and say artwork. And my reminder, if you're listening to us via the podcast version, come join us live sometime and be part of the chat and be part of the discussion. We would love to have you join us live. So next up in our wearables, the mouse ears versus the magic bands. Gosh, this actually is a little bit tougher than I thought, because this gets a little bit to the point real quick here. Hawk, we'll start with you, but I don't know that this is as easy as I thought it would be.
Magic band, 100%.
All righty. Megan?
I'm going to go ears.
All right, Matt?
Yeah, magic band, easy. Ears hurt too much.
See, I think we got a tie. I got to go ears. I mean, it is still the classic and the quintessential thing. So, viewers, it's up to you. We have a tie. Mouse ears or magic bands? Mark Sonnenberg says magic band. We'll see if we've got some others that chime in real quickly here, because we have a tie. Do you like, which is your souvenir of choice, the mouse ear
Speaking of
or
bands,
the magic band?
Speaking of bands, we went by Epcot on Sunday, and Rick Springfield was there, and man, what a crowd he drew in. It was crazy.
Yep.
Wow. Mark, Chris Mushrush says my Millennium Falcon Magic Band Plus for the win. All right. It looks like Magic Band. Sorry, mouse ears. You are not moving on. It is going to be the magic band that is going to catch up and go. Come on over here. Here we go. Magic band moves on. Okay. And then our final bit is the park map versus the trading pin. So Matt, we'll start with you.
Pins, easy.
Okay, Megan.
This one's kind of hard for me, but I'm going to go with maps. I like seeing the changes over time.
All right.
at the parks.
Maps.
Hawk.
Maps.
What was that? Maps.
Maps.
And see, I'm going pins, guys. So once again,
maps.
pins. All right, so we got another tie. So guess what? It's coming right back to you guys. Mark Sonnenberg says pins. There you go, buddy. I appreciate that. Bands. Well, that was Tom said magic bands. So we got another one now. Sometimes there's a delay. Mark Sonnenberg said pins. So we've got another tie, guys. So which one do you choose? Is it park maps, or is it the quintessential and highly addictive trading pin, Disney trading pin? So we already have one saying pins. We'll give it another minute or two here. You know, the thing about trading pins is that, and this is something I do oftentimes for travel clients, for small kids, is I'll go, and you can go out to eBay or places like that and get this kind of bag of what I call pin fodder. Mark Sonnenberg says mysterious. Mark Sonnenberg says pins. And let's see, Tom also says pins. So pins are advancing. Chris says he and his wife are debating right now. Might be a tie even for them. You know, and your lovely wife. We've done a cruise together. Chris and I and his wife were Greek cruise together.
I will bet.
But I think at this point,
park maps, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't see her here, but and sometimes Jen will join us. So we will say trading pins are moving on, and here we go. So. But yeah, we do some trading pins for clients and get them started. So
shout out to Megan, by the way, because my wife did comment. Last week's show was one of her favorites, and Megan did a great job with that list. So
yes, Megan did an awesome job.
Thank you.
Putting together this group. Matt put together the great group for our sidekick characters. I did snacks, and then we put together this final bracket for souvenirs. Okay, so we're down to our final four. It's mug tumbler versus artwork. All right, Hawk.
Mugs. I just think
figured
practicality, though, affordability, like usability, like just the overall. It's cost friendlier. It's got a better use, and it's easier to transport for the most part back and forth from the parks. I just think a mug or a tumbler is more of a functional souvenir that everyone would continue to use, and it doesn't just hang and disappear. So I'm going with mug.
All righty, Matt.
Yeah, I'm going with mugs as well. Every time I go down, I look at them and I try to get a new one. Sometimes the designs aren't that great or what I'm really into, but in one of those, if you do find something that you do like, grab it when you can, when you're there, because they're not in every single store location. I regret there was a mug I found that I really liked, and I figured it was early on in our trip, and I couldn't remember where I saw it, and I never ended up getting it. So, lesson learned. But I'm going with mugs.
All right, Megan.
I'm also going to go with mugs, and because Matt mentioned it, tip on all these things, because I do this a lot actually now. When you see something, buy it. You can return stuff that you bought on property to anywhere on property. So I'll buy things, and then the last day I'm like looking through trying to figure out what I'm actually taking home, and I'll go to like the gift shop at our resort and return stuff that I bought in the parks. So it's not ideal. Don't like load up on that and go return like 30 things. But if you're having trouble choosing, I'll buy a couple things and then decide at some point during my trip which thing I'm actually going to keep. But I'm going definitely with the mug here.
All right. Well, I'm not going to win this, but I'm going artwork. Mark Sonnenberg agrees with me. He says artwork. Tom agrees with me. He says artwork. Artwork should be the one because it's just awesome and all that. But I will bow to the will of the people. And artwork you do move. Correction, not artwork moves on. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. Hold on. Mug Tumbler, here you are.
Shazam.
Mug Tumbler moves on. There's no corruption here. So, Magic Band versus Trading Pin. So I'll start off on this one, and it's got to be pins. Most thing that Tom says, by the way, he's agree. Mark is an incredibly intelligent person. We've agreed on everything, and that's scary that somebody agrees with Tom sometimes. So we give Tom a good hard time. Tom's a good buddy. So I will go with trading pins. I think that again, I love the fact of trading pins. I encourage clients, especially my younger, the children of clients, to give them some trading pins so they can start doing that and just interacting with cast members. To say nothing about the designer pins and all the exclusive pins and all that kind of stuff, but just interacting with cast members. So for me, it is pins. Matt?
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, Chuck. The interaction with the cast members, the way they interact with my daughter, who started collecting pins as well our last trip. Just the way they get her excited and what are you looking for, and they start talking to her, is great. I mean, with the magic bands, it's just like bang, off you go. It's easy, convenient, but for me, the trading pins, the way you can grab something for almost any occasion. I'm not a big roller coaster person, and when I rode Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, my wife actually bought me a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train pin because I actually did the ride and didn't completely freak out. So for that reason, I'm going with pins.
All righty. Tom agrees. Tom says pins. Megan?
Chuck, first of all, let me say that I think it's brave of you to try to bankrupt your clients by sending them down the rabbit hole of pin trading, because their children are just going to want several $100s of pins. But hey,
he's got stock in it.
I give them the pins to start. I give them the pins to start, and all they're doing is trading with cast members.
It's like giving somebody their first hit of crack. Not that I know, I've never attempted, but I'm just saying.
Wow.
It just seems like your first hit.
Wow.
Goes from there.
Speaking of the hard stuff.
Because
And Megan, how much is your bill?
Because we are talking souvenirs here. Hey, if the rest of y'all are allowed to jump off the tracks tonight, so am I.
You see the kind of love I get around here.
As much as I love a magic band, if we're talking strictly souvenirs and things that people, buy when they're on vacation, I'm gonna go with pins also. I'll join the rest of everybody. I think Hawk will probably disagree, but I'm gonna go pins.
Here's the thing. If Megan can do decoupage in jail after her crack addiction begins, I think I can fall in love with pins too if someone wants to send me a lanyard that I can trade a couple, So I'll go with pins on this. I will say from a cost factor, they're about the same, to be honest. In this realm, the magic band's going to cost you a pretty penny now for the magic band, the fancy magic bands. Pins aren't cheap. If you're buying the top end, they have various levels of pins, but I still think they're close enough that the uniqueness of pins gives them a little bit of an edge. And Chuck brings up
alrighty, and so
actions.
Yep. So here we go then, Hawk. I'll let you lead it off because it is the final.
Mugs.
So
this is easy. Mugs.
Hawk, don't hold back. Tell me what you really think.
We all have great mugs on this show. Like, come on, it's mugs.
Ooh, it's getting deep around here.
So here's the thing. I mean, two of us are going in for mug shots this night. So the mugs have to win, in my opinion. I just think, again, you want to talk souvenir. I agree that, like artwork, and someone mentioned it earlier, pins are easy to display. Yes, you can put up a little board in your house. You can put a little frame thing, but and Matt, I've got one too. I've got a bulletin board with the stuff. But what's the souvenir you're gonna use? What's the souvenir that's functional in your house? If you want to talk the top souvenir, to me, it's got to be something you use. You have a use for it. You bring it home and continue to use it after your trip. That's mugs and tumblers. You can stick a pin collar, but it's still mugs and tumblers for me.
So we knew that Hawk was going to be mugs. Matt, go for it.
Yeah, slight edge for me for pins. You talk about using them outside of the park. I use them as a way to get my daughter to do certain things that she should be doing, either chores or breaking certain habits. So we kind of use it as an incentive to be like, hey, if you don't do this for so long, then we'll get you a pin. She gets all excited and she'll actually do it. So there is some kind of way you can use pins essentially outside of just showing them off. You can use them as a bribery tool. So
it's an interesting theory. It would not work in this house, but that is a great theory, though.
My daughter's also 6, so it's kind of I use the leverage while I can use it. So I'm going with pins. It's narrow. I do like coffee mugs. I don't have a whole bunch of them. Tumblers I don't usually collect. But the uniqueness of the pins and just the artwork behind it, I like them better than most of the mugs. So,
all right, Megan.
I'm with Hawk on this one. I'm a mug person. Not only do we get use out of it, but and I was having this conversation with somebody on a different topic, but it fits for this. The things that we think of when we think of family and we go to visit certain people, it's, oh, I love this mug. I love this glass. I love this thing that my grandma always had or my mom had or whatever. Mugs are some of those things. Like, that your family actually ends up appreciating because it becomes that, my kids have specific drinking mugs at my parents' house that they always use, and mugs fall into that. And so I just think the usefulness and that emotional tie there, I love for the mug. So mugs, I'm in the mug bandwagon here.
Hey, Tom, I will say, as a wrestling fan, that totally depends on who's doing the pinning.
Tom says, I'd rather be pinned than mugged. But, folks, we are going to go to a tie here because I am saying pins. So, with that, we are going to the viewers. And so, Tom has said pins must win. Mark Sonnenberg says pins. Tom also said I'd rather be pinned than mugged. And he also says you could get me to do things for a pin. So I think with that, unless there's any other last comments to come in, we have already got 2 that are saying pins. Oh no, Mush says mugs. Mush says mugs.
That's still a tie.
Well, do we have another tie here? Do we have to go to the? Do we have to go to the vote? We may just have to.
I don't know if
for our
watching,
final.
She could speak up. If Jen's on.
Well, we may have to because we're already well over time here. This is the longest Mousecast that we have had. Jen just came on. I think this is rigged. Said mugs.
I love
Mark Soderbergh says, I guess we default to artwork. Yes, that's right. Artwork wins because it's a default. Thank you very much. So artwork is the winner. No, we will go with mugs. I guess we have to again.
2 weeks of heartbreaking losses. I would have had to retire.
Yeah.
If we had taken 2 shattering losses and defeats in back-to-back weeks.
And I can understand it. Much as I love tins, I can attest. I mean, the kitchen is right there, and I can't count on 2 hands how many Disney related mugs I've got, especially like the Starbucks where you were mugs, all of that. So I mean, yeah, Chuck, mugs are a great thing. So I mean, I'm okay.
Let's be honest. In your house, you probably have everything on that list in quantity.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, okay,
I guarantee in quantity. Except the princess dresses.
Wow.
I don't know.
The rumors are out.
Oh, here we go again.
Can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, dear.
You just
We should not be
can
allowed
neither
to go
confirm
over
nor.
an
Thanks
hour.
for watching Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. We're cutting Hawk off right now before he gets me in even more trouble. But we do want to say a huge thank you to everybody who joined us. You know, Chris and Jen, Mark, Tom, Caleb, I believe, was joining us as well. So thank you all so much for being with us. Hey, look, we hope you had a great time here on Mousecast. Tom says, boo. We hope you had a fantastic time on Mousecast. We had a great time doing this 4 rounds of March Mouseness, and stick around. I'm sure we're going to come up with another whole round of this time next year. Coming up next week, we return you to our regularly scheduled Mousecast, which means Matt's Musings. Matt's up. And
Good luck, everybody.
Matt, we don't know what Matt's about. We'll see what Matt's Musings about. If you're new to Mousecast, we come up with a different topic here, and Matt's going to be coming up with something. He calls it his musings, and he comes up with just some different ideas of kind of what ifs that are out there. And then coming up, I think, actually, this is a 5 Tuesday month, isn't it? I believe it is a 5 Tuesday month. So coming up in 2 weeks after Matt's Musings, we'll have another show topic that we'll work on here. But always at the end of the month, our final Tuesday of the month is game night. And so that's where you get to come. We encourage you to come on the show and join us in the chat live, play game night. I always host game night. I never make it easy. I gotta be hard on these folks here. You know, I gotta make sure that they put on their thinking caps. So you get to play along with game night. So we encourage you to join us. Again, we are live every Tuesday night right here on Facebook, right here on YouTube, and we love it when you're right here with us, joining us and being part of the conversation and being part of the event. As you saw, you guys were the tiebreakers. So twice, actually 3 times in this particular one. So again, a huge thank you to Matt, to Hawk. Hawk, what are you doing? To Matt, to Hawk, to Megan. Again, folks, this is another reason you got to watch live. Hawk is doing weird faces right now. I mean, the live show is so different than listening to it on audio. You got to come join us live.
Got it. That's the
we get off the rails a little bit. Yeah, he's. I think he's showing his mug. Bump. So with that, again, a huge thank you to everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is, for now, until we never know what's going to be coming next week, folks. This is Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. Until next time, if we're all still around by next week, we may have lost our brains by then. We'll see ya.
Thank you for listening to Mousecast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show. And joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time.